As a mom, y'all, it's hard. I mean, finding that time to balance work, family, and personal tasks, it can be really overwhelming, okay? There's so many responsibilities, and it's easy to feel like there aren't enough hours in the day. But what I decided to do for the month of March was try a technique called time blocking. Now, I have tried a different method that I'm going to show you today on my channel before, and I'll talk about that a little bit in this video. But today I'm going to share with you how my month went with time blocking. How did it work for me? Is this something that I'm going to continue long term? We're going to talk all things time blocking today. It's something that people swear by. It's a secret that have helped so many people to feel more in control of their time. And so that's why I wanted to try it. So that's what we're doing today. We're going to talk about time blocking and how I felt about my experience doing a full month of time blocking. So let's get into it. All right, you guys, so I decided for the month of March to just do the whole month of March with time blocking. I saw a video and it inspired me because I'm typically not a time blocking girl. Okay, so the reason why I'm not is because I like to make lists of things I need to do, and then I just tackle that list throughout the day. So I don't necessarily put a time to it just because my brain doesn't really always operate that way. But I wanted to give it a fair chance so I could see if it may be something that may actually work for me, and maybe I just didn't, give it a fair chance to see if it was something that could help me to be able to be more organized and get more done. So I said, for March, let's just do it. So I went all in, y'all. So I'm going to talk to you about the experience of that and how it helped me, and if it's something I'm going to continue to do long term. So I'm going to show you like how that looks on paper for me. So I changed a couple of things out on my planners. You guys know we do have a subscription box. Just to touch on that briefly, just because you see a lot of difference here. Of course, these are vegan leather covers, and every month I'm going to be changing out to whatever that collection is for the month. So we have a subscription box for a quarterly subscription box, which our first one was called Boho Dreams. I did a full unboxing of that, and signups were open for that for just 10 days within the month of March, and then it closed, and then we worked on that, got everything shipped out, and the next one will be launching in June. Subscriptions will open on the 1st of June until the 10th of June, and then of course it'll ship at the end of June. But in the meanwhile, we do have monthly collection boxes that aren't subscriptions. They're just free for everyone. Not free, but they're just open for everyone to be able to purchase the entire collection, or you can purchase items within that collection. So this was Boho Dream. So this is the cover. As you can see, it's really gorgeous. It's got like some floral elements to it. It works great for layering. And then our dashboard that says you're about to enter the best chapter of your life, y'all. That's how I feel right now. I have to be honest though, I did go through a time within the month, that's why you haven't seen much from me, of not being motivated to do anything. And that happens with me, and I just accept it, and we work towards getting back remotivated. So that's how I feel right now. I'm back motivated, so I thought this was the perfect quote. Love the florals, and this particular dashboard was double-sided, and it's also super pretty because it's glossy, so it's got a glossy finish. So I love the cover. I love the fact that we're going to be changing things out on a monthly basis, just keeping things fresh. Also came with the discs that you see here, so it flows really beautifully. All right, so I just thought I would mention that to you just because I haven't done a flip through with this new setup, because I did purge a lot out. I downsized to the 1.25 discs, and I only have 6 sections now. So I've simplified this planner a lot. Okay, so if we head on over to the calendar section, we do have some things here that have helped me to be able to do this whole time blocking thing. I have tried a couple of different methods in terms of structuring my inserts and my spread for color coding. Or not color coding, because we are going to talk about color coding too, but for time blocking. So there's a couple of different methods that you can do in terms of how that looks for you, okay? So this is my color coding key, because I decided to color code my time blocking as well. You don't have to do that. So we're kind of touching on color coding as well. So you need to know what the key is going to be for you. What are your blocks or your subjects going to be? So these are all mine. So I have events, household, family, fitness, work, spiritual, school, personal, and to-do list. And I think I do have an insert in here that will show some more ideas on what you could do if you decide to color code. So I thought color coding would work for me just to be able to clearly see in front of me, like, and organize my thoughts or my subjects in my brain, you know, and to kind of see where my time was going using colors, if that makes sense. So I didn't color code my at a glance pages, of course, because there's really no need to do that. But I did color code my March. So anything that was within these subjects right here, if I want to use a sticky note that corresponded with that color, I made sure that it was the same subject. So that way, again, my eye draws to the correct subject and color. So I loved how I did that. And so, so that was so helpful, you know, just to add another element of planning to it, just, you know, so I didn't have to just use color coding with highlighters. I could color code with, you know, sticky notes and various other things. Okay. And then I also color coded my month. Y'all know I've never done that before. I've never color coded on a consistent basis. So the month of color coding and time blocking it was a great experience, I have to say. It was a lot of work on the front end, but it did help me to be able to identify my tasks clearly. So there's a couple of things that you'll want to do before you start this process. Is the first thing that you'll want to do is identify your priorities. So before you start time blocking, it is important to identify those priorities. So like what tasks or activities are most important to you, and then make a list of those priorities and then assign them specific time blocks, of course, throughout your day. And that's what we're going to get into. So you want to make sure that you do that because you need to know what your priorities are. And I'll also share a couple of tips throughout this video that have helped me, you know, further than, you know, just identifying your priorities. So I have a couple of other things that I can share with you just based on my experience of what helped me to be able to be successful in this whole process, which I feel like I was. So again, my color code key here is something that I keep right here on my whatever page finder, excuse me, I'm using. I'll just put it right here on the back just so I can clearly see it and it's available to me when I need it. Okay, so just so you know, going forward for April, I'm using our vertical line layout. It doesn't have the times on here. And so I'm gonna try to either write in the times or I'm just going to write out everything that needs to be done and see how that works out. So I haven't quite figured out how things are going to work when it comes to April. Okay, so this is my month again. So everything is highlighted, indicated by the colors that you see here. So any events are in purple. So you see events typically fall on the weekend. And then any household things are indicated in this blue. Also, the markers that I use are the mild liners. So I had them in this little pouch here and I just carried them around with me. And I only kept in here the colors that I was using. So these are all of the colors that I used for time blocking, and it was great to be able to have them available to me as needed. And I picked the colors that spoke to me the best. There was no really a rhyme or reason to it all. It was just, you know, these are the colors that I like, and I think that they'll flow, you know, based on the sections that I have here. Okay, so so we'll put that here just off to the side. All right, so this is how my month looks. So you know, normally when it comes to my month, it's literally just pen to paper, just like this. So you could see how that could really help you, right? Being able to have those colors there to identify what's what. You know, anything that's purple is somewhere that you're going out. Anything that's blue is household, things that you need to do for the house. Or actually, I think this blue is for spiritual things and another blue is for household things. So these are all my spiritual things that I'm doing. And I think it just really helps me to see how much I'm accomplishing with the different various parts of my life, like spiritual. I got a lot of spirituality going on, you know what I mean? And then with the yellow is for school stuff for Addison. So I know I have school things to do, and it just, I don't know, I felt like it draws my eye in. It doesn't confuse me. Some of you may feel like it's a lot going on here, but for some reason your eye just draws to that color. And then if you have programmed in your head what your color code is, your key is, then you know automatically what that is. And it just, I don't know, for me helps me to be able to see how I'm accomplishing things based on the colors. And if I need to add more of a certain thing to my life, like spirituality, if I didn't see enough blue there, I'd be like, okay, I'm not doing enough, you know? If that makes sense, okay? And then also like the orange is for personal things. So I see that I don't have that much going on personal wise. So what can I do to enhance my personal life, you know? So I think color coding really helped me for the month of March, okay? So then this is the first week of March, okay? So I really had to sit down and be strategic with this because it was my first week and it was my first opportunity to really figure out how this whole thing was gonna go. And so because I was so new to it, I had to just, I made mistakes along the way with color coding it and maybe putting the wrong color for this or leaving something off. This was just really my trial week because it really isn't so much about the colors and the decorating of the spreads and all of that. It's more so about accomplishing those things and trying to stick within that window. So this layout is available, of course, for the whole month and I believe even for the whole year. And it has the times here on the sides and they go by the hour. But what I would do is I would put 2 things in the box here if there was a couple of things that needed to be done within the hour that I needed to break out by the half hour. So I would just write them in here. So there is a couple of ways that you can do this, like I mentioned earlier. You can either be as detailed as you want within a certain time frame, or you can just have blocks. You know what I mean? Like blocks of time, or you can do both. So as you can see here, I kind of have a hybrid of the two. So in certain instances, I put specific things like get up, wanted to make sure I get up at 6:30, Addison to school, and then I have morning routine at 7:30. I know my morning routine doesn't take that much time. I should be able to accomplish that between 7:30 and 8 or 7:30 and 8:30 because my daily text is actually a part of my morning routine and my laundry is too. But if I just wanted to do morning routine and I wanted to just highlight that block, I could do that. And I know myself what needs to be done as a part of my morning routine, if that makes sense. So you could do it that way, or again, you could be as detailed as you want and have something in every single half hour or multiple things within a half hour or an hour. There's plenty of space in this box for people to write several things, but I recommend just keeping it short, and not writing out all the things because then it might overwhelm you for one. And then, pretty much what are those things that need to be done within your morning routine window. But it's up to you with how you would want to do it. But it worked for me to be able to sometimes have details and sometimes not. So like I have my my work schedule or my work time frame. And so I wanted to start work at 12 on this particular day because I had things I needed to do before that. And within my work window, which goes from 12 to 3, I know what I need to do within that time frame. So I don't necessarily have to write it all out. But I do also have a work section here in my planner. So I know, I need to work, and then I come over into my work section to see exactly what should be done for that particular day. So I would come here to my daily or weekly layout and I would see what are those things that I need to be doing on that particular day of the week before 3. Does that make sense? Okay, so I think it does. I think I'm being pretty clear. Okay, so another tip that you want to try to make sure that you're keeping mind of is that you want to be realistic. Okay, so when time blocking, it's important to be realistic about how much time you have available for each task, and then really be sure to allocate enough time for each task, and don't try to cram too much in one time block because it's not going to work. And then also be flexible. So of course, time blocking can be a great way to stay on track, but it's important to be flexible. Okay. Anything can happen. Unexpected tasks or events can come up, so you have to be prepared to make the adjustments to your schedule accordingly. So although we have this all lined out and it looks very good and pretty and organized, this whole thing can go out the window because life happens and you just never know what could come up. So just be prepared for that as well. So this is kind of how things looked for me for that first week. I also like to put at the top if I have an event or something that needs to happen that day. Like the 6th was a book fair through the 8th for school. Now I didn't highlight it in yellow. I probably should have, but again, this was my first week. And then the 9th was picture day. So I wanted to make sure that I had that at the top there so that it stood out to me and I knew that that was something important that needed to be completed. I also have a little sticky note here. Now gray for me is to-do list as according to my color code key. And so again, I like using sticky notes and things like that. So that way I could pop in just a quick to-do list. Some of these things may fall under other categories, but I don't color code those. I just need sometimes just a quick to-do list of things I know I need to do. Okay, so this is the first week, which went really good. And again, it wasn't always me sticking within this time frame because it was just so new to me. I was just trying to get my feet wet and, get my bearings to see if it's something I could do. And the first week, of course, is always the hardest week, okay? And then I also, y'all, I took breaks and stuff, because sometimes according to my plan here, I have back-to-back things, but I need a break. Like, I'm not going to be, filming, editing, uploading, and working, and then immediately going into my after-school routine, okay? It's important to take those breaks throughout the day just to recharge and refocus. So be sure to schedule in those time for breaks, or just, be aware of the fact that you need to take those breaks, and then use that time to rest or do whatever you enjoy, okay? So that was the first week, y'all, and then I feel like I started to get my bearings for the second week, and I even popped in a little page here, and I like having this page in here because it allowed me to have a to-do list, because I'm just a big advocate for that, again, and the color that corresponds with my color code key. And then remember, blue is for spiritual things, so I wanted to write in the scripture I wanted to remember. For some reason I didn't do that. And then I have my habit tracker here, which I loved having here. Sometimes, again, I don't always mark off all the things, but I like seeing it in front of me. It just encourages me to be, to do my habits. So even if you don't see a check mark or X there, doesn't necessarily mean I didn't do that habit. I just need to be better at, keeping up with managing it here in this form. And so I liked having that there, and it's just a little page that I stuck those things to that I could just easily pop in and out. I think it's a notepad sheet. And then this is my spread, y'all. I really tried to make sure you know what I did, y'all? Okay, I'm noticing. You know what? This is what I do a lot. And I don't know, maybe you caught on to that. So obviously I didn't like my handwriting, and I didn't like the fact that I messed up on my first week. So I went and I rewrote it. I'm crazy like that. And so for me, this one looks a little messy, and I was just trying to figure out what I was doing, obviously. And then here is the actual week. Okay, so everything that I just told you on the other one applies to this. And I guess I made a mistake with the book fair date, and then I took it off there. And so this is the actual way my week went. And I loved how my handwriting looked. So I had to change it because of the mistakes I made, obviously, and then just being able to rewrite it to make it look good. So again, same structure like I mentioned before. I love being able to identify like my zone cleaning here, so you could see my zone 1, zone 2, zone 3, again, all based on this color code key here. And it just really worked out for me to be able to just see clearly what I needed to do and where my time was going. So this was that first week, and that's how that looked. And then we get into the second week. I even popped in this meal planning insert, so that way I could know what we were having for dinner. And sometimes that works better than going into my meal planning section, which is actually home now. Changed it to home because I feel like meal planning is a part of that section, and my planner is getting very bulky. So as you can see, didn't quite keep up with it the way I wanted to. I did my habits, but that's what I'm saying when I say be flexible, because you just don't know what could happen during the week. And just because you don't write in all the things doesn't mean you didn't do all the things, okay? So keep that in mind as well. All right, and so again, it is a lot of work on the front end to write all this out and color code it, but I do definitely feel like I was more productive. All right, because I was really trying to be mindful of my time. And then also when it came to just like random things, because a lot of my schedule is repetitive in terms of these are things I do every day, It doesn't really change too much, but on the weekend is where variables come into play. So like I had an event at a friend's house on that Saturday, so I blocked out the time for that, and then pretty much that was pretty much it in terms of outings and things like that. Besides, I had coffee with a friend of mine, so I scheduled that in, and I try to put it in a place to where I know it will work, or I'll build that day around that event. Okay, and that's just what works for me. You also want to just try to stay as organized as possible. So to make the most out of your time blocking, it's going to be important to stay organized. Of course, we're using a planner for that. You could also use a notebook for that. And so that way you could take control of your day, and you just get more done when you write it in like this. And it may take some practice, again, to find the right balance with that. But just be patient. with time and patience, you can make this priority thing work for you in terms of time blocking. So I recommend everybody try it out at least once. Again, this worked for me, so it's something that I believe I'm going to continue to do. So the second week I felt like was definitely better than the first week. Maybe not in terms of my handwriting, because I'm not really a big fan of how this handwriting looks, y'all. I even scheduled my bedtime in, and I just wrote every single thing that I would do during the day, unless it was like a blanket thing. Like, again, I told you before, like my morning routine, I know what needs to be done within that window. Zone cleaning, I'm not going to write out every single task for cleaning. Again, work, I'm not going to do that either. Even my after school routine, you know, and this is all also based on my routines, because you guys know I'm a big fan of the routines. I have a whole section for it. And within my routines, this is kind of where I came first to see how I wanted to structure my time blocking, and how my day was going to be structured. And so it was all based on this. As you guys know, I have morning, afternoon, evening routines, and then all of these other routines fit into these 3 routines. And so I was just really mindful of this structure here when creating this. So that's kind of how I looked at my priorities, if that makes sense, because I did mention that that was the first thing that you wanted to do. Okay. And then, y'all, I fell off on the 3rd week. I don't know what happened. I just fell off. I fell completely off with my time blocking. And because I don't know, for me, and maybe you guys may differ in this opinion, but I don't feel like this is something you ever memorize. You know, like I'll never memorize it, you know, from, you know, whatever. I'll just never memorize this whole thing. For me, because of how I operate, I don't want to memorize it. I just want to kind of go with the flow. And that's why I wanted to try this out to see if it would be something that would add a little bit more structure to my life. And so I don't have any intention on memorizing this. And so when I fall off like this, I'm literally winging it. Or I may have a to-do list. Like I had this to-do list here, and I just kept adding to it. And I would check off things as I was completing them. And I definitely feel like between these 2 weeks and this week, I wasn't as productive. So that's why I'm thinking that this is probably going to be something that I implement long term, but I'm still gonna need a little bit more time to gather my bearings and to figure this whole thing out, and to make it habit, you know what I mean? And then this was the last week of March, which I don't consider myself have fallen off. I just didn't spend that extra additional time to color code everything. Okay. And when it comes to how I use this, because I know you may think, well, you wrote it all out, but do you really sit there and look at your planner every day to see where you are in the scheme of time? I really try to be aware of that and doing that. So I purposefully did, just because it was so new to me and I wanted to make sure that I was where I was supposed to be. So I did, for those 4 weeks, you know, for that month, just to make sure that I was doing it right and giving it a fair shot. So I did write everything out here, which again is pretty much the same for me week to week. Not much changes, unless I have something to do on Saturday or something during the week that's different from my typical schedule. And so I know all the things that I need to be doing during the week. But again, I try to get it as much done as possible, usually via like a to-do list sort of situation or spread that kind of promotes the to-do list format. As opposed to getting it done in a certain time frame. And I also felt like doing it this way, I had a lot more time. So it may not have taken me the same amount of time to do certain tasks. And I think going into April, I'm going to really try, now that I know how much time a certain task takes, I'm going to restructure it to reflect that. You know what I mean? So that's why I'm still trying to figure out how I want to structure April, because I'm not sure if I'm going to use these or if I'm going to use the vertical line like I mentioned earlier. And so it's going to allow me to just really be more aware of how much time certain tasks take. And that's why, and then I may be able to do more in a day, or maybe I'll be able to just keep that free time. Who knows? So that is how my whole entire month of March went. Again, I popped in a lot of things during the week, and that really helped me to be able to have a meal planner, because we don't have that sidebar we usually have. Like this one right here has a sidebar, so I could write in notes there. This one doesn't, because the time is in the way. So I need to pop in certain things here just so I can have them, and we can know other things outside of just what our schedule is. All right, so those are the weeks of the month. And now again, we enter into April. I have my monthly already planned out, and now I just need to figure out how my week is gonna go. what am I going to do for my weeks? I'm pretty sure I'm going to use this spread. And I think what I'm going to do is it's going to look pretty much the same as this. And I may just put the time in the box there just so I know. Haven't quite decided yet. But of course, I'll come back and revisit this and I'll let you guys know how that went. And we'll do another month of time blocking and we'll see how this works out for me now that I kind of am a little bit more familiar with how things work and how to structure my day. And I'll check back in with you guys and let you know how that went. So that's it, you guys. So again, just to reiterate, what you want to do is to just make sure you identify your priorities. You're going to need to know that in order to develop this whole system. You need to determine the amount of time that is going to take for each task, just so you can schedule things out appropriately and just really try to stay focused, especially when you begin. Stay focused on that task at hand. Try to avoid any distractions and interruptions. If you find that you need more time for a task, adjust your schedule accordingly, which is what we just talked about. Take breaks. And then lastly, review and readjust, okay? Review your time blocking and assess how well you stuck to your schedule. Make any necessary adjustments to your time blocking for the following day or week or however you decide to do it. Because time blocking in your planner, it can help you stay organized. It really can. It also can help you to prioritize your task and just help you to make the most of your time. And that's what we all want. So by following all of those things that I mentioned in this video and kind of looking, to my example, you can begin to incorporate time blocking into your daily routine and you can start experiencing the benefits of this productivity technique if it's something that you want to continue doing long term. So hopefully that helped you guys and you kind of got a little bit of insight into how it worked out for me. Again, stay tuned for an update on what I decide to do for April, and we'll revisit this again. And make sure to comment below and let me know if you have tried time blocking before. How did it work for you? Give us some tips and tricks on things that maybe I didn't address in this video, to be able to help everyone to see if this is a technique that you could use to grow and to just get more accomplished in your day, y'all. Okay, so I hope I didn't give you too much. I tried to keep it short and sweet, and I'm glad I was able to do the whole entire month of March. And so I could really give you my true feedback and opinion on what helped and what I learned and what I would do better. So thanks for watching, you guys. I really appreciate you stopping by. I hope I can be more consistent with videos. I appreciate you guys sticking around with me. It's just life sometimes gets in the way of doing the things that you want to do. And so I'm hoping to be able to share more videos in the coming months. So thanks again for watching. I appreciate you stopping by my channel. Hopefully you'll give me a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Sharing is caring, of course. And as always, I want you to come back by and catch another video, in which case I'll see you guys then.